So we absolutely have to go ahead and cover what just happened to Tesla stock today, as we had a lot of news influencing the price action for Tesla stock, and some of it pertinent to some decisions that Tesla stock recently made, which we're going to go ahead and cover further on in this video, but also cover some of the macroeconomic data points that we received for today. For example, today was a heavy day. We had a lot of earnings come out. We had the ADP employment number come out. We had construction spending numbers come out. We had ISM manufacturing, the JOLTS, which is the job openings, and then of course at 2 p.m. the FOMC interest rate decision, and then 30 minutes after, we had Fed Chairman Jerome Powell deliver his speech. Now, of course, these were two of the biggest drivers for the broader markets, which we're going to go ahead and touch on. But of course, we have to kind of talk about what else happened for today. Now, on a positive note, right, we saw job openings contract. And I know that may sound a bit odd to say that this is positive, right? We don't want to see job openings contract typically. But in this very moment, we want to see that number still in sync with what the Federal Reserve wants, which is to see it go down, as the Federal Reserve is still waiting on more data before they actually cut rates. And so this was a positive for today, right? But what did we end up getting with the Federal Reserve? Well, let's go ahead and toggle over to the S&P 500 and kind of talk about it, right? So of course, the markets were pretty sideways in the beginning of the trading session for today. We had the Federal Reserve at 12 announce that there was no change in what they're doing with monetary policy, which was a given. Everyone already knew that, but what we wanted to hear was kind of, well, what is the sentiment from the Federal Reserve going forward? And then you see this big spike up and this big spike down. Now, we also see this similarity kind of take place with Tesla, right? We kind of see this with a lot of names, but we have to talk about it. So what ended up happening? Well, I want to go ahead and share this article from Wall Street Journal just highlighting how the S&P 500 slipped after the Fed kept rates steady. And one of the things that it mentioned, right, is that, yes, of course, investors widely expected that the central bank was going to keep rates unchanged. Everyone pretty much knew that this was going to happen. There was no surprise, and that was a good thing. However, one of the things that was a bit concerning, right, is this, right? So Fed Chairman Jerome Powell said that it would likely take longer than expected for the central bank to have confidence in inflation moving to its 2% target. And he didn't really clarify what else are they looking for, but he did kind of tamper down the speculation that the Fed may need to raise rates again to fully control inflation. So that was a positive, right? Because there's been a lot of speculation that, oh, the last few, CPI reports and PCE reports and just inflationary reports in general have been kind of bad and could cause the Fed to want to hike rates. But we had Jerome Powell state that that's not something that they're looking to do. But at the present moment, they're still waiting for more data before they actually start cutting. And so, it was kind of this scenario where we had this quote here from Kevin Gordon from the Wall Street Journal saying that the good news was that there was no major surprise and that, the Fed wasn't overreacting to pretty much the recent inflationary data, highlighting that they may have to, hike rates. But the problem was there was no indication of when they're looking to kind of cut rates. Right now, they kind of mentioned that it is a possibility in September, but at the moment we're still in limbo. And so that's something that definitely contributed to the markets kind of having some euphoria and then pretty much coming downwards. Now, for Tesla, there's a couple of things I want to go ahead and touch on. Now, from one perspective, we also had that Tesla announced it's retreating from its next generational or gigacasting manufacturing process. Now, this is big, and the reason why this is big is because in the past, Tesla has mentioned that they were looking to kind of do this 1 gigacasting, format where it was going to be much cheaper to go ahead and manufacture its future vehicles. And this kind of was an illusion of the process that was going to be made for the $25,000 vehicle, but now they're kind of retreating back on this. And so that's causing some concerns. Well, is there a delay on what Tesla's going to do with this $25,000 vehicle, right? Or why are they doing this? Now, the real answer for this is because, of course, while doing this new kind of manufacturing process with the, one kind of gigacast setup, it would save costs in the future, but it requires a huge upfront investment. And right now, after the recent earnings for Tesla, we have to understand that it's not like Tesla had the best earnings. And we talked about this before. Tesla, yes, it did spike up after its earnings, but it wasn't because the earnings and the fundamentals were great. We just had some decent forward guidance. And then you combine that with a bit of a short squeeze with short sellers kind of having to cover because of the forward guidance. And then, of course, we had the announcement with China and Baidu and Tesla. And so it all kind of contributed to Tesla spiking upwards. But by no means was it that the fundamentals for Tesla are looking all fine and dandy, right? There's still a few problems, which is why we've recently seen Elon Musk cut down on the supercharging team, which a lot of individuals are kind of upset about because there's this idea that, hey, well, we need more charging infrastructure in the nation, and now there's kind of like this pause where, hey, we're not going to go ahead and focus on building more. We're just going to go ahead and make sure that they're all kind of working at full capacity, and of course making a few improvements. And so we're seeing a lot of cuts and a lot of trimming with Tesla, which I talked about isn't necessarily a bad thing going forward in the future, but it does kind of stifle some of the plans, right? Now, I want to go ahead and touch on where we currently are with Tesla, but I also want to highlight one of the trade ideas we highlighted within the Push and Profit private group, which, if you guys are unfamiliar, that's essentially the private group where every single day the markets are open. I provide a daily briefing of what's going on with the broader markets, as well as share some trade ideas. And I want to share a trade idea that we talked about for today, which was AMD, right? So AMD, I'm going to actually share this image right over here. Pretty much I said it early in the morning before the market opened that one intraday idea was AMD and looking to go long in the shares or get the 152.5 calls as an intraday scalp trade. Now, I ended up later on showing that I was looking to come into that area to buy those calls right around over here. And if we take a look, that was kind of where I had this little, you see this bell, this alert, and I was looking to get those calls or get those, underlying shares for AMD around that area, and we ended up seeing that exactly play out very well. We saw AMD fall down to the levels that we wanted to, and then eventually kind of pop up. Now, if you were trading the underlying, it did about 3% if you got it from the low to the peak, if you caught it perfectly, which no one catches everything perfectly. But if you traded the options, the calls, and you got in that entry area that I talked about, this was a trade that was up almost 90% in just a few, like I would say like 30 minutes. So honestly, a great trade idea. And if you guys want to kind of capture those intraday ideas, I usually share a lot more swing trade ideas, but occasionally I share some intraday ideas. If you guys don't want to miss out on those, make sure to check out the second link in the description below to join a Push and Profit private group. Again, you could cancel and leave at any time. But with that said, let's go ahead and talk about the view for Tesla, right? So if we take a look at Tesla from a daily time frame, one of the things I highlighted in a recent video is that we're back again at this area where there's a lot of volume relative to price, meaning there's a lot of exchanging between the buyers and the sellers. And because of that, there's going to be some consolidation. We're going to see some, sideways action, and it's not really the best time right now. Now, did I buy some shares recently? Yes, right? After their earnings and they had a bit of, positive forward guidance, I bought a few shares, but I didn't really put a whole lump sum into Tesla. As I said, I was waiting for Tesla to kind of close above this area where you see the bell, like, kind of close to like the high 190s or pretty much the 200s. And we didn't close above it. And in fact, we're kind of falling down again, hovering over here. So the idea is that as long as Tesla could kind of hold off right over here where there's a lot of volume relative to price and kind of just find its support and move sideways, well, that's not terrible. I'm just simply not adding in my long-term portfolio just yet, as I'm still waiting for that confirmation of the uptrend. And one of the things I see a lot of times in my videos is people get investing and trading mixed up all the time, and I guess it's because I talk about both, because I participate in the market both as a long-term investor and a trader. But I want to kind of clarify that trading and investing are two separate vehicles, right? In the long-term investing account, I'm not doing trades, I'm not in and out, right? It's pretty much just buy and hold, and right now I'm just holding on to Tesla, but not ready yet to pull the trigger to add a few more shares into this. And again, that's just my opinion. Now, as far as trading Tesla, we may be in an environment right now, being that there's going to be some consolidation likely to take place, where it's going to be more favorable to do those intraday trades. So that's definitely something that if you're trading Tesla, you may be interested in. But at the moment, right now, I'm looking to see Tesla hold up around over here in the long-term, perspective, and hopefully have that confirmation of the bounce up where we have little volume relative to price. Now, again, if you guys want to learn more about volume profile and what it is that I look into in regards to both trading or investing, it's going to be the second link in the description down below. But with that said, I want you guys to let me know in the comment section down below, what are your thoughts for Tesla moving forward? What are your thoughts also with pretty much monetary policy in the broader markets, right? We saw the broader markets, if we take a look at the SPY, kind of retreat a bit for today. Not too far off from the close of yesterday, but I want you guys to let me know what your thoughts are. I'm always interested to hear. And before you guys go, make sure to check out this next video right over here, and I'll see you guys on that next video. Take care, guys.